At Elimination Chamber, we're gonna get Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in an unsanctioned match. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept, there is 2 men in the ring, they fight, there is still a referee, but the referee basically just runs around just aimlessly doing nothing, but the match doesn't end until they actually do a pinfall. It's just like, it's a regular match. They just say it's unsanctioned. They can do some wild stuff. They can tell a really great story. They can also tell a not so great story. We've had many different unsanctioned matches in WWE. They don't happen all the time, but when they do, they can be really great. Or they could just be like, what is this? Big Show Randy Orton?
Sorry, Randy. Andrade and Garza.
Why is that an unsanctioned match? COVID era. The hell. Now for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they have a long history, and it's interesting that they are doing this match at Elimination Chamber and not saving it for WrestleMania, which makes someone stupid like me believe that they're going to do something different at WrestleMania. Both of them doing something different. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the unsanctioned match type itself, it is a no holds barred, anything goes, go in the concourse, go in the ring, do whatever, get a table, get a chair. There could be a lot of blood, and there's a way that WWE and Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens could make this really special. I think that they could really tap into some really deep storytelling here, like we have seen with other unsanctioned matches. So things are busy in my house. We don't always have time to cook. We barely have time to look at each other. That's where Factor comes in every single day for us. My wife and I actually do subscribe to Factor, and we get our meals every single month. So this is just a happy accident. Quick, nutritious, good for me, and the main thing is the quickness in there because we have 2 kids and it's chaos all the time. I love to be able to grab and go, and we're getting all of the protein, nutrients, everything we need. Also, it's just helping us feel better and a little bit healthier too. You can skip the overpriced takeout trap as well. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious. You get chef-crafted restaurant quality meals delivered right to your door. They're ready to heat up in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. So when things get hectic, Factor is flexible. You can change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. We have done this ourselves. We find that sometimes we're like, okay, things are a little bit busy. We need to be able to reschedule things and push it out. We can do that, and then we resume our orders. It's super easy. We've used the Gourmet Plus meals ourselves, and they're really good, healthy options. Factor offers these Gourmet Plus meals as part of your weekly options, which means you can get a little gourmet with your meal plan whenever you're craving something special. On the side, you get premium produce like broccoli and broccolini to perfectly complement your protein. Keep an eye out for the surf and surf, which is the shrimp and the salmon. You can also get the surf and turf, which is the steak and the shrimp meal options that are coming soon. Get 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor box using my link. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone. Thank you so much to Factor for supporting the channel. Now, back to the video. Ciampa Gargano at NXT TakeOver, their unsanctioned match was like a big culmination of their giant story they were telling, one of the best in NXT's history. I loved it. And they used not only weapons everywhere and it was a mess, but they also used things like the crutch, and they used things like the knee brace on Ciampa. All this symbolism that they used for their feud, culminating in this whole thing. It was tremendous. You also have the likes of Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, my personal favorite for any type of unsanctioned rules match. It was the whodunit story. I actually went back and I rewatched like highlights of Raw for the unsanctioned match, like how they got to SummerSlam, and it was not like the best storytelling. Like Triple H pedigrees HBK, and like as DX, he turns on him, he gives him the big pedigree, and then at like another time on Raw, they then do the whole someone hit Shawn Michaels with a car and he's a bloody mess. And then you get the promo of Shawn being like, it was you, Hunter. And he's like, yeah, it was me. Ah, suck it. Like, it really was kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't like the best flowing story that they told, but between these 2 guys and Shawn Michaels coming back to WWE full-time, this was an important match for HBK, it was an important match for Triple H, and the 2 of them made it epic. And it was at SummerSlam, and making it a bloody mess and lots of weapons, tables, and the focus during the match itself of Triple H constantly attacking Shawn's back. Shawn Michaels getting the roll-up victory though in the end over Triple H, and then Triple H ending it and finishing it off with sledgehammer shots, 2 sledgehammer shots to the back of HBK. Shawn gets the win, but Triple H gets the big haha last laugh and the whole thing. This is where I think WWE can do a lot of interesting stuff when it comes to Sami and Kevin Owens. They can pull from a lot of this history, not only of their own story going all the way back to Ring of Honor, and doing ladder wars and doing crazy spots and crazy moments. The team ups, the turns in WWE, they've done it a lot, and now they can hopefully culminate this thing as kind of their send off for their feud. Yes, they could revisit at any time, but I think that they want to be able to kind of close this chapter so the two of them could possibly do some different stuff into Mania and beyond. Personally, I think that Sami Zayn should win against Kevin Owens, but I think it should go along the lines of Triple H Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam, where these two just absolutely wreck each other the whole way through. You get a package pile driver, you get all that stuff, and then Sami maybe gets the roll-up win over Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens is getting the last laugh because maybe he does the package pile driver or two of them after the match and really just ends Sami Zayn that way. That way it kind of protects both guys, because Kevin Owens just came off the ladder match with Cody Rhodes. He lost there with no help from Sami. There was no other interference, just lost. So Kevin Owens, I feel like he needs a victory. Sami, I feel at this stage in his career and where he's at, he can kind of eat losses. But because Kevin Owens, maybe he's gonna do something different at WrestleMania, I think the guy needs a big win. And frankly, Kevin Owens being a big Triple H fan, they all get along. I think that they could pull a lot of storytelling in there like they did with HBK and like they did with Triple H at SummerSlam. Other matches you can look back to that were really good in terms of their overall story was like Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. They had an unsanctioned match. If you rewatch kind of the end of it though, I do find it a little silly. It's wrestling, it's whatever, but I do find it a little hilarious that Shawn is just like repeatedly punching Chris Jericho over and over and over in the head. And it was like a Family Guy bit. Like he just kept smacking him profusely. It never ended until he was just knocked. The referee stopped it and it was over. So a good match. They had table spots. It wasn't like a crazy bloody mess, but it was the story that they were telling for months and involved Shawn Michaels' wife. It was really, really well done, the entire feud itself. Now another match like a Triple H, again, you're thinking in the mind of the game, the Triple H, and he's like, I've been in all the unsanctioned matches. He's been in a couple, but he might look at something like Triple H versus Seth Rollins. They did their match at WrestleMania. You had Kingslayer, Seth Rollins in his gold outfit, and you had Triple H out there with motorcycles and Stephanie. And this was the one at WrestleMania where Stephanie got bumped and went through the table at the end. It's kind of the big moment, and Seth beat Triple H. Not the best unsanctioned match that I've ever seen, because it was at WrestleMania. It's essentially a no-holds-barred match in there, because like they didn't leave. Like they just stayed in the confines of the ring. It didn't go anywhere. And that's where I'm like, if you're gonna do an unsanctioned match, that's where you do need to kind of spread your wings. You got to go different places. You got to get up there on the stage. You got to get on the entrance ramp. You got to grab different weapons. Do the big ladder spots between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Make it a lot of fun. Now let's talk about the outcome of this. There are potential options because again, I don't think that they're going to do Sami Kevin Owens part 2 or 10, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that they're going to do that at WrestleMania. If you're doing an unsanctioned match now, which is interesting because you could have done a brawl at Elimination Chamber. Like you could have had the two guys do a promo to set up a match for WrestleMania, but they're not doing that. So I feel like this is going to be a blow off and you can get the guys off TV for a few weeks, or they're going to build into something different to go to Mania. So for Sami Zayn, I'm thinking that Sami Zayn is going to get into a one-on-one match with Karrion Kross going into WrestleMania. I think Kross is just poking everybody and he's pushing everyone's buttons. Kross, unfortunately, lost all of Final Testament because they were all released, so he's on his own again. But Kross is one of Matt's personal favorites here because I think he does fantastic work on the mic. He's good in the ring, but he's just really good. Like he's a really good character, and he hasn't been in any feuds. He's just a dick. He just messes with people backstage all the time. He's the one who's like kind of responsible for the New Day just crumbling and turning because he's the little devil on the shoulder. And he mentioned Sami Zayn in his last promo on Raw. I think that they could be planting seeds that they're going to do Karrion Kross versus Sami Zayn at Mania. I would like to see that match. I think that Kross would end up just pulling all of Sami's history of how he's constantly losing all the time. He can't get out of the shadow of other people. Kross, I think you could just look up his history like in HR. He could just pull up the whole file of Sami Zayn and then go through it and be like, here's everything wrong with you, Sami. And then they end up in a match together. Kross did get a multi-man match, tag team match at WrestleMania last year. And I think it's time. I think you need to get Karrion Kross out there more on TV, get him into feuds, really good feuds, make it interesting, give him that singles match at WrestleMania, and again, Sami Zayn could be a lot of fun. And again, if Sami gets the victory over Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber, the technical victory, then I think you could have Sami Zayn lose to Kross at WrestleMania to then elevate Karrion Kross. Not every babyface needs to win all the time. Now, what about Kevin Owens? I wouldn't be surprised if they did it where Kevin Owens did a Shawn Michaels Triple H SummerSlam type of scenario. Instead of the sledgehammer to the back, like I said, it's going to be package pile driver. That ends Sami Zayn after the match. The bad guy victory. He doesn't get the pinfall. Kevin Owens may not get the pinfall, but he needs to be alive. He needs to come out on top and feel victorious, like he did with the Winged Eagle title. Walking around with that thing for months, it was a lot of fun. He acted like he was the victor, like he was champion. I think he needs to do something like that, where he takes out Sami Zayn at the very end, which leaves Kevin Owens to go to SmackDown with no friends, like he's talked about, him talking about how everyone has turned his back on him, and then he had to do the unthinkable maybe to Sami Zayn. I think then you get Randy Orton making his return. It's been the big question mark for me why Randy has not been on TV, why he didn't show up at the Rumble for the ladder match, he didn't show up in the Royal Rumble match itself. We got nothing. Unless he's injured, but I think that they are just saving Randy to get to the Kevin Owens one-on-one match. Kevin Owens' whole thing this time is all about how everyone has turned their back on him in his eyes. That Cody turned his back, Randy did, Sammy did. He's sick of all of it, so he's taking everybody out, and it's all their fault. I think that's where you will have maybe the SmackDown after Elimination Chamber, or they give it a little time, and you have Randy Orton confront Kevin Owens, and then that's their match for Mania. Because otherwise, would you do like a rematch of Sammy, Kevin Owens, and like add Randy Orton to make it a triple threat at Mania? I don't see that, because I don't think Sammy has any business like in a triple threat there with these guys. Randy Orton has no problem with Sami Zayn. So I think that would just be too much of just kind of push these parts together. I know it doesn't really matter anymore with WWE, but they are all on separate brands. But like Kevin Owens and Sammy are fighting on the cross brand, though it's whatever. But I hope WWE pulls from different stories of unsanctioned matches that we have seen in the past, and they avoid the other ones, a la Randy Orton Big Show. There was a Randy Orton Shane McMahon one too on Raw, apparently. I couldn't find that one. But I think people will be kind of surprised in my eyes and optimistic here, because I think that you're not expecting an unsanctioned match to necessarily deliver, but you know what? It's in Toronto, it's in the big stadium, which it's going to be packed. It's not the arena, it's in the giant stadium we have for the Blue Jays. So it seats like 50,000 people, give or take. I think WWE would probably load that thing up to north 40,000 if they can. Who knows, based on the setup. But you could have a huge crowd watching this thing unfold, and I think it could be almost the shocker of the night of how this match unfolds. And if they can pull from the storytelling of a Ciampa Gargano, and they can pull from a Triple H Shawn Michaels and an HBK and Jericho, I think you could see a very memorable unsanctioned match. And it positions both guys to go off into different directions for WrestleMania, and maybe go off and have some singles matches against different opponents. But what are your favorite unsanctioned matches from WWE? I know there's other ones. There was like Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole Bebe, they did one in NXT. I thought Drake Maverick did one too. Am I wrong? Did I see that on a list? Like, I never seen that. He did a 205 Live. They did an unsanctioned match. Like, at least they don't just throw these things out all the time, right? Like, at least they spaced them out for a couple of years. Grayson Waller also did and Gargano did an unsanctioned match. Maybe they do just kind of chuck them out when they feel like it. Anyways, guys, hit subscribe, hit that like button. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day. See ya.